I was the Federation's pampered, top-tier, S-Class Omega, officially ranked as the Omega everyone most wanted to date. Before I even became an adult, every alpha in the entire Federation treated me like their dream guy. People were lining up with sky-high fees just to apply for a pheromone match with me. Every alpha wanted a blind date with me. Well, I can't blame them. I mean, I am gentle, cute, and easy to get along with. Of course I believed I'd find a soft-hearted alpha and live a sweet, happy life. Who could have guessed that on my 18th birthday, the pheromone match would end up pairing me with the Federation's infamous God of Death, General Sawyer. Wesley, I'm so jealous. You actually matched with General Sawyer. You're so lucky. Yeah. You want this, good luck. Take it. General Sawyer is the youngest general in the Federation. People say he might even make Marshal before he turns 30. Sure. And what does that have to do with me? I heard General Sawyer can punch straight through a Zerg's skull. He's insanely strong. Right. And if we ever argue in the future, he can punch straight through my skull too. The moment a few other Omegas heard Sawyer's name, their eyes practically lit up like fireworks. I sighed and flopped face down onto the bed. Wesley, you matched with General Sawyer. Aren't you happy? Through clenched teeth, I said, happy. I'm so happy I could drop dead. Sawyer was 27 and already a general. He went to the battlefield at 16 and never lost a single campaign. He was the Federation's most beloved male idol. Ridiculously handsome, tall and powerful, personality cold as ice. Rumor has it there's a viral video of him scolding a young soldier so hard the kid cried. He's perfect. He's strong. Well, I can't even think of more. But no matter how great he is, he really doesn't seem suitable as a husband. I wanted a warm, gentle partner, not a cold-faced commander. 02. I was losing my mind. I suddenly sat up on the bed, grabbed the beta staff member who was about to leave, and asked with desperate hope. Can I refuse this blind date with General Sawyer? The whole room froze. The staff member blinked, then looked troubled. No, Your Highness Wesley, because your pheromone compatibility with General Sawyer is 100%. You have to go on the date. 100%? I thought 80 would already be incredible, how could it be 100? Then why bother with a blind date? Just marry us on the spot already. After numbly eating 3 strawberry cakes, inspiration suddenly struck me. Instant revival. Even if it's 100%, as long as General Sawyer doesn't like me and refuses to marry me, then I'll definitely get a chance to switch to a gentle alpha. Perfect plan. 03. For the next 3 days, they packaged me from head to toe, clothes, manners, the way I talked, all completely redesigned. The goal was simple. On the day of the blind date, I needed to make Sawyer dislike me at first glance, then dislike me even more at second glance, and by the third glance turn around and walk away. I was fully prepared. But on the day of the date, the moment I saw Sawyer. Nearly 2 meters tall, a perfect V-shaped body, wearing a sharply tailored military uniform. Heroic brows, striking eyes, yes, he was breathtakingly handsome, and terrifying. From the moment we got into the car, Sawyer didn't say a single word. Even with our so-called 100% pheromone compatibility, there was zero chemistry between us. Everything the school taught was a lie. I snuck a cautious glance at him from the corner of my eye. My lips moved a few times before I finally found the courage to speak. This would be my chance, I'd start making him hate me. But the moment I opened my mouth. I want to eat. I had wanted to say, the most expensive thing, just to make myself look spoiled and extravagant. But he turned his head toward me, his brows slightly furrowed, his expression cold as ice. It felt like if I said one more word, he'd punch me. Just one little questioning sound, and I felt threatened. God, he was so scary. Maybe because I didn't answer for a while, he frowned again, clearly holding back impatience, and asked. What do you want to eat? I tilted my head just a tiny bit to glance at him. My heart was beating like crazy. I immediately shook my head like a rattling drum, afraid he'd get angry, and whispered, "Anything's fine." The car kept moving. He didn't say anything else, and I finally let out a breath. He was seriously terrifying. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant for someone to be intimidating without even trying. 03. When we arrived at the restaurant, I followed behind Sawyer with tiny, nervous steps. As we walked in, my body swayed a little, but I didn't think much of it. I figured I was just starving after spending 3 days obsessing over how to make him hate me. But the moment I sat down, my ears started ringing. My vision doubled, and my head felt foggy. "What's wrong with you?" The food had just arrived. Sawyer sat across from me, watching me sit there motionless. His tone sounded a bit stern. I was already feeling awful, and then he had to sound all harsh. My nose stung, and before I knew it, tears spilled down my face. "You're so mean." My voice wasn't loud, but I definitely sounded hurt. Even though I was still talking and looked normal on the surface, my mind had completely gone blank. He froze for a second, then frowned. "Wesley, we're meeting because the match rate was too high. It's mandatory. If you're not satisfied with me, we don't have to continue this after today." "Ha! This is huge. Wesley, say yes. Say yes." I tried desperately to send that command to my brain. But my no longer functioning brain grabbed onto the simplest part of what he said and gave the most straightforward response. With my pale face blotchy from crying and my voice shaking. "You don't like me?" An S-Rank Omega crying during a blind date with an admiral was apparently quite the spectacle. The beta waiter had been secretly watching us from the start. When he brought over a dessert and saw how pitiful I looked, even he couldn't help shooting Sawyer a disapproving glare, despite Sawyer being a highly respected public figure. Sawyer looked stunned for a moment, probably speechless. He reached out with a tissue, trying to wipe my face. The very moment his hand came close, I suddenly shot to my feet and shouted, "How can you not like me?" He had just started saying my name, Wesley. But before he could finish, my cheek brushed past his hand, and, bang! I crashed face first into the cake in front of me. Wesley, in front of the entire restaurant, basically died, with my face buried in a cake, all because my blind date didn't like me. The last thing I saw was Sawyer's usually stoic face twisted in shock. And farther away, the staff and guards who'd been following us rushed forward, activating the control collar and restraining the admiral because of what happened to me. Sawyer's face turned thunderous from the humiliation. I should probably just pass out. 04. When I next woke up, a bunch of medical staff surrounded my hospital bed. A beta doctor grabbed my hand with tears in his eyes. "Thank goodness you woke up. If you'd stayed unconscious any longer, the guards outside would have taken Admiral Sawyer to a military tribunal for injuring an Omega." "Oh, that's serious." I slipped off the bed when they weren't paying attention, bare feet hitting the cold floor. I opened the door and saw the guards outside practically bowing as they removed the control collar from Sawyer, apologizing non-stop. "We thought you were unhappy with the S-Rank Omega and used a pheromone attack. Our apologies, Admiral Sawyer." Sawyer didn't say a word, but his expression was awful. I felt guilty, truly, but still. Being nearly dragged to court just because I fainted into a cake, he was probably the first and only admiral in history to suffer that. I hid behind the door, quietly laughing to myself. When I finally calmed down and looked up. "Ha! Where did Sawyer go? Is it funny?" The cold, furious voice rang right above my head. I froze, then slowly looked up. Sawyer stood outside my door, staring down at me with that stormy expression. I hurried to shut the door, but he easily held it open. My strength was nothing compared to his. I blinked a few times. Seeing no way out, I let go of the door. He pushed it open and said, voice icy, Pretty little useless thing. My eyes widened instantly. He insulted me. He actually dared insult me. All right then, I rolled my eyes dramatically, shut them, and toppled forward. Before he could react, I slumped straight into his arms. He instinctively caught me, arms wrapping around me. And I must admit, Sawyer might be scary, but his arms were warm, and he smelled really, really good, like sandalwood and something clean. The guards who had walked away earlier immediately came rushing back with the collar. One of them nervously reached toward Sawyer's neck. "Get lost," Sawyer snapped. 05. I fainted, but I survived. Warm sunlight fell across my face. It was actually kind of cozy. My eyelashes fluttered. I stretched lazily, arms and waist extending. And then froze mid-stretch. "Ah! Admiral! You're still here." "Oh." The tall man leaned against the wall with his eyes closed. When he heard me move, he opened them and looked at me with that cool, unreadable gaze. A low snort. "Awake?" Heat rushed to my cheeks. Embarrassing didn't begin to cover it. My silence was deafening. After I pretended to faint earlier, he'd carried me to the bed. His arms had been warm, his scent soothing. And at some point, I'd actually fallen asleep for real. "Admiral Sawyer, what do you mean? I don't understand." With long strides, he walked to the bedside. His gaze swept over my carefully prepared, questionably modest outfit. His eyes darkened. He reached out and pinched the exposed flesh of my thigh, hard enough that the skin pushed up between his fingers. "You don't understand? Do you want me to spell it out for you?" His expression was dangerous as he leaned closer, slowly pushing me back toward the bed. My heart lurched. I put a hand on his chest to stop him. Swallowing, I tried to bluff him. "I'm an S-Rank Omega. If I accidentally offend Admiral Sawyer somehow, I'm sure the great Admiral wouldn't get mad, right? If he did get mad, well, that wasn't my fault. I was precious. Rare. Untouchable, technically." He stared at me for a long moment. Then suddenly, his brows lifted slightly, his smile sharp and dangerous. "With the highest match rate possible, and given my rank and seniority, the system won't match you with anyone else. Unless..." I automatically asked, "Unless what?" "Unless, during our mandatory dating period, I accidentally end up marking another Omega. Only then would you be allowed to meet your next best match. Otherwise, you're stuck with me for life." His pupils tightened sharply. This time, I was genuinely angry. As a Federation general, Sawyer definitely knew what would happen to an Omega who never married or had children. That fate wasn't a secret. He straightened up and leaned back against the wall, folding his arms as he looked down at me from above. His voice returned to that icy cold tone from the beginning. "I suggest you stop wasting your energy on me. I have absolutely no interest in weak, fragile Omegas." I sat on the bed with my head lowered, silent for a long moment. Just as he was about to walk out the door, I suddenly let out a short laugh and lifted my head to look at him. "So General Sawyer thinks I'm delicate and not worthy of you?" He didn't answer, but the disdain in his eyes said everything. The anger bubbling in my chest only grew stronger. I couldn't hold back, my thoughts spilled out before I could stop them. "General Sawyer, have you ever been to an Omega care facility?" "No." I gave a cold laugh. That facility covers thousands of acres. Everything is spotless, state-of-the-art. But every Omega is followed by 4 staff members at all times. Everything, food, clothing, sleep, daily life, is predefined and controlled. As a general, you must have gone through plenty of hardship. Sorry to disappoint you, but after I differentiated at 14, I was immediately taken to the facility. I've never suffered even a day. We take 4 classes a day: flower arranging, tea brewing, self-maintenance, and how to care for infants. Those so-called public classes the Federation claims we learn: horseback riding, combat training, hacking, those only exist on paper. They've never been taught. This audio is originally produced by the YouTube channel, Omegaverse Tales Studio. Please credit when sharing. I walked toward Sawyer barefoot, each step tapping lightly against the cold floor. I tilted my head up to look seriously at him. I'm sure you think everything I'm saying sounds ridiculous. His gaze locked onto me, deep, sharp, as if he wanted to read every thought in my mind. I lifted my thin, pale hand and held it up in front of him. Look. My softness, my pale skin, these didn't appear out of nowhere. The Federation paid for this with enormous resources, taxpayers' money, soldiers' lives, and mountains of funding. I am a useless Omega, because outside of reproduction, I have no assigned value. I poked a finger against the hard plate of his uniform chest. But don't forget, General Sawyer, none of us were born to be locked in a golden cage. We were supposed to be doctors, hackers, mech pilots. Not vessels for childbirth. Not forced to marry strangers just because our pheromones happen to be compatible. We were born to soar, like eagles that should never be caged or defined. 07. After that disastrous encounter, the facility's matching system contacted me several times, urging me to meet Sawyer again. I refused every time, claiming I wasn't feeling well. I didn't want to see him. Every time I remembered the look in his dark eyes after my outburst that day, I wanted to sigh. Honestly, I did feel a bit of regret. I shouldn't have let him provoke me into spilling all of that at once. After the anger faded, worry took its place. As an Omega living in a facility, I was supposed to be obedient, gentle, polite. If Sawyer reported my disrespectful remarks, a few days locked in a dark room wouldn't be surprising. We Omegas lived surrounded by luxury, eating the best food, using the finest things. Everyone greeted us with, "Your Highness," the moment they saw us. But, what kind of highness lives confined to a tiny space without freedom? I looked around at the hall full of cheerful young Omegas, then let out another sigh and sprawled ungracefully across the sofa. And again, Sawyer's deep, unreadable eyes flashed in my mind. Fine. If he wants to report me, let him. It wouldn't be my first time being locked up. Worst case, I'd survive. But after returning to the base and waiting for 3 days, there was no punishment at all. Instead, on Tuesday, our scheduled video call day, I received a private call request from Sawyer. Was he out of his mind? After the argument we had last time, why would he call me? Was he really trying to get back at me? Or what? Fine. I'd go see what he wanted. 08. Under the envious, jealous gazes of the other Omegas, I reluctantly walked into the private video call room. The moment the call connected, the man on the screen appeared in full uniform. When his sharp gaze swept across me, my heart involuntarily skipped. I sat down but said nothing. To my surprise, Sawyer spoke first. Have you been well lately? I froze for a second, a little confused, then nodded. For a moment, something like amusement flickered in Sawyer's eyes. Annoyed, I frowned and was about to ask whether he was planning to drag this out forever when he said, "Your Highness Wesley, are you free this weekend?" What? I looked at him warily. What do you want? Sawyer gave a soft laugh and adjusted his cap before leaning back casually in his chair. I enjoyed our last date. I hope to see you again this weekend. What? Had Sawyer completely lost it? While I stared at him in shock, he added calmly, "If you need anything, just tell me." The screen went black. I stared at the blank display, my mind an absolute mess. Did a Zerg kick him in the head during battle? The moment I left the room, the beta assigned to care for me walked over holding a gift box. "Your Highness Wesley, this is a present from General Sawyer." I shot the box a slightly disgusted look. But with a resigned sigh, I still reached out and took it. When I opened it, I froze. Inside was a personal terminal, an advanced device everyone in the Federation used for identification, payment, travel, communication, and even entering a holographic simulation world. Everyone had one. Except Omegas in the protected facility. My eyes lit up instinctively, then dimmed again just as quickly. 09. When we met again that weekend, I brought the terminal Sawyer had given me. I set the box on the table and pushed it toward him. He seemed surprised. You don't like it? My eyes lingered on the device with obvious reluctance, but I still pushed it farther away. I like it. Sawyer sounded confused. Then why won't you keep it? Our eyes met, and I let out a bitter little laugh. Smart people tend to be unhappy. The only reason I'm still somewhat content is because I have very little contact with the outside world. My gaze drifted to the terminal. If I learn too much, I'll start wanting things. I'll get jealous. I'll start feeling like the world is unfair. And because I'm smart, I know I can't change any of it. That kind of awareness only leads to pain. So, I choose to be a drifting, unambitious Omega. Sawyer rested his hands on the table, long fingers interlaced, light calluses visible on his skin. I entered the military academy at 12. I'm 27 now. As you said, my path wasn't easy. Aside from my father, who passed away early, you're the first Omega I've ever interacted with. So, I admit I was arrogant during our first meeting. I blinked. So, his elegant fingers pushed the terminal back toward me. I apologize for what I said before. This is my apology. I glanced up at his face, he really meant it. And honestly, a general second only to the marshal didn't need to apologize to me at all. But because he did, now I looked like the unreasonable one. I suddenly snatched the device back with an annoyed huff. That's it? Sawyer let out a low laugh. Then he extended an invitation I absolutely could not refuse. Your Highness Wesley, would you like to see my mech? Mech Shenbird? Legend had it that General Sawyer's unbeatable secret weapon was the S-Class mech, Shenbird. Two S-Class mechs operating together had never met an opponent. I sprang up from the chair, eyes shining. Are you serious? He tilted his head back, showing emotion, a rare sight. I never lie. I dashed forward, grabbed his hand, and started pulling him toward the door. He let me drag him along, voice tinged with resignation. You haven't had lunch yet. Lunch? Who cares about lunch? Shenbird comes first. We have to see it now. Outside, the facility staff and Sawyer's personal guards saw us walking hand in hand and immediately wore those satisfied, "It's happening" expressions. I froze for a second, then bounced away from Sawyer like a spring. The instant I released my hand, leaving the warmth behind, he grabbed it again the next second. Sawyer's eyes were deep and serious. Be careful not to fall. A shiver ran through me. My body stiffened, and I let him pull me along. Halfway there, I tried to pull my hand back, tempted to back out. But then I thought of Shenbird. No, see it first, decide later. 11. Shenbird stood over 5 meters tall, its entire frame blazing in fiery red. Just standing there on the training field made my blood race. I tilted my head back, eyes glued to it. Wow, this is insanely cool. Sawyer let out a light chuckle beside me, then suddenly wrapped his arm around my waist. I jumped. What are you doing? My eyes scanned the empty training room, thoughts racing. If he tried something, how would I escape? Then he leaned closer, lowering his head slightly, voice teasing. Want to take a look inside Shenbird? Despite my earlier hesitation, the idea of exploring the mech made me reach out and wrap my arms around his neck. Yes. He held me firmly, then lightly leaped into the open cockpit of Shenbird. Inside, it was all metallic, countless control buttons, and a pilot chair equipped with neural interfaces. My fingers traced over the panels, heart pounding, hands trembling with excitement. A pang of longing stirred in me. If only I were an alpha. I didn't finish the thought. If I were an alpha, I'd have chosen military school, specializing in mechs, controlling them on the battlefield until the last moment of life. 12. I looked up at Sawyer, gratitude in my eyes. Thank you for bringing me to see Shen Bird. I really like it. His clear eyes scanned the faint redness at the corners of mine, then he gently pressed me into the pilot chair from above. As he leaned over, I nearly thought he would kiss me. My eyes instinctively darted away, and before I could react, my head and body were connected to the neural interface. General Sawyer. His fingers pressed lightly on my lips. He moved to sit beside me, casual tone. As the first Omega to pilot an S-class mech, for your safety, we'll use dual pilot mode. You don't mind, do you, Your Highness Wesley? My heart suddenly thumped. Was it at Sawyer, or the thrill of piloting a mech for the first time? Sawyer guided me. I controlled the mech's hands, walking, running, even jumping and spinning. I've got it, Sawyer. I looked at him with sparkling eyes, surprised by the gentleness in his gaze. He pressed my head lightly, kneading it a few times. Well done. A faint, calming scent of sandalwood mixed with his steady breath. It was unexpectedly alluring. 13. As we left, I couldn't hold back and spoke frankly to Sawyer. My ideal type is a gentle alpha. I wasn't satisfied with your status or personality the first time, so I may have been a bit rude. And fainting the first time wasn't intentional. He nodded. I bit my lip. The second time, when you scolded me and I retaliated, we cleared the slate. A trace of amusement lingered in his eyes, but he said nothing. Before you invited me today, I thought you were going to complain. That was my cynical assumption, and I apologize. Today's meeting made me happy, but I still hope to find my ideal alpha. I hope you won't mind, General Sawyer. Sawyer paused, then his warm expression hardened slightly. Wesley. I bowed politely. I wish you happiness. Without waiting for his reaction, I turned and ran back into the facility. 14. Sawyer is good. He can take me out of the facility and show me a new world. He speaks directly, never beats around the bush. He admits his arrogance, his bias against Omegas, and his flaws from a position of power. I touched my heart, still pounding at the thought of him. Shaking my head, I reminded myself, what may be a little gesture for him feels untouchable to me. I was afraid that what he could give me, he could also give someone else. I closed the window, stroked the terminal on the table, then placed it back in its box. Omegas have no choice. The only way to protect ourselves is to ensure our hearts don't wander. 15. You're listening to Omegaverse Tales Studio, a YouTube channel dedicated to captivating short stories. Let's continue. For about a week, Sawyer didn't contact me again. Amid the other Omegas' teasing stares, the facility arranged other matchmaking prospects for me. After meeting a few boring alphas. Although Sawyer was a perfect pheromone match, to maximize Omega reproductive success, the facility introduced me to other alphas before anything between us was official. There were celebrities, professors, mech designers. At first, I was interested, but after talking, whenever I showed curiosity about their work, they'd cut me off arrogantly. Your Highness Wesley, these are alpha matters. Omegas need not know, they'd only be troubled. All my enthusiasm vanished instantly. It was like cold water poured over my head, freezing me to the bone. I slumped over the dining table, sighing, listlessly waiting for the next prospect. Footsteps approached. I pointed to the seat across from me. Sit anywhere. A clear, gentle voice with a hint of amusement replied. Is my arrival causing you trouble? I paused, slightly embarrassed, then looked up. He had medium-length hair, a delicate face, and wore a spotless white lab coat. He sat, offering a gift box. My name is River, a doctor specializing in Omega mental research. This is a gift for Your Highness Wesley. Inside the box was a small black skull bracelet. Thank you. I like it very much. River's presence brightened my mood. His smile was gentle, his words had no hint of alpha arrogance, perhaps because of his work. For a moment, I thought, being with him wouldn't be so bad. My heart throbbed faintly, and I pressed a hand over it. Are you unwell, Your Highness Wesley? River asked, concerned. I shook my head. No. River is good. He has some typical alpha flaws, but who is perfect? After seeing River a few times, I seriously considered him as a potential marriage partner. But as soon as class ended, I saw a blazing red mech standing on the facility's training field. Shen Bird? Before I could react, it strode through the crowd, heading straight for me. River, coming to meet me, had just started to smile when the sight of the mech completely froze his expression. Ah, it's General Sawyer. Amid the screams of excited Omegas, Sawyer opened the cockpit hatch. His hand reached for me. Want to feel what it's like to fly? He stood on the ladder, only slightly taller than me, but the sunlight behind him seemed to illuminate my already restless heart. My chest thumped violently, as if it wanted to jump out and grab his hand. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see River's nervous face. On one side lay the life of an Omega carefully arranged for me. On the other, a gamble that could change everything if I reached out. Your Highness Wesley, we had plans today, River said firmly, standing against Sawyer's intimidating gaze. I turned to look at the school behind, the one filled with music and flowers, then at the young, innocent faces of the Omegas surrounding us. Sawyer remained silent, just standing quietly in front of me. I lifted my hand into his palm with resolve. General Sawyer, please take me away. 17. Sawyer's large hand fully enveloped mine. He glanced casually at River, then pulled me into Zuenbird's cockpit. Before closing the door, he asked. You can still back out now. I tore off the protective patch on my gland, releasing my pheromones. A mischievous grin spread across my face. Too late to back out now. When an Omega removes the patch in front of an Alpha, it signals permission for that Alpha to do as he wishes, something usually reserved only for partners. Fresh lemongrass scent filled the cockpit, but before it could spread, Sawyer slammed the hatch shut. His eyes were clear, but the tips of his ears flushed red. A week at the front line. I missed you. Front line? I thought he was angry because of what I said. His unwavering gaze and calm demeanor made my face flush. The steady scent of sandalwood blended with lemongrass, intoxicating me. I thought, you wouldn't come back for me. My neck was pinned by his large hand, pressed forward. My heart raced as his lips claimed mine aggressively. After the kiss, my lips were stained red from his tongue, and his thumb brushed over the corner of my mouth. So, were you going to marry someone else? I nodded, straightforward. Yes. If you hadn't come, I would have told him today I'd marry him. Foreheads pressed together, the lemongrass scent pushed into a corner by the sandalwood. Then now. How does Your Highness Wesley intend to respond? I pressed a light kiss to his lips. I've seen many Omega's futures, some tragic, some happy. Choosing you is a risk. Sawyer, will you let me lose? His answer was steady, unwavering. No. 18. Back in the pilot's seat, I followed my heart and kissed him. Autopilot engaged. Outside, the facility shrank as we rose. My excitement overflowed. I don't know who started it first, but our lips collided fiercely. Clothes were tossed around the cockpit, his calloused hands gripping my waist. Softly in my ear. Baby, please. I tried to dodge, frightened, but his hot breath seared my gland. My hands were pinned above my head. A sharp sting brought tears instantly. Sawyer, you're lying to me, ah. It wasn't comfortable. It hurts so much. At tens of thousands of meters above the clouds, lemongrass mixed completely with sandalwood, indistinguishable, inseparable. 19. After fully marking me, Sawyer brought me to his residence. Once the heat from marking subsided, he took me to the civil registry. The maglev was unmanned, just the two of us in the back. Sawyer abandoned his earlier cold, imposing demeanor, rubbing his furry head unceremoniously against my neck and shoulder, making me push him away. "Sawyer, stop." His hand pinned mine downward. The sandalwood scent wafted again. His low voice made my ears tingle. "If it weren't to legally bind you, I wouldn't even have brought you out." Thinking of the past few days, my face turned apple red. He was unbearably clingy, and his uniform was rumpled. Pretending to be upset, I finally got him to release me. Once on the ground, I breathed out. Sawyer returned to the stoic general I knew. 20. Married life wasn't all rosy. Sawyer was always busy at the military headquarters, coming home late. When he returned, he would overwhelm me on the bed, the sofa, the carpet, relentless. Over time, I grew unhappy. Life like this was worse than in the facility, at least there someone would talk to me. Hearing him enter, I lay on the sofa, lifeless. Why move? He'd move anyway. Let me be a dead fish. Footsteps stopped beside me. Sawyer smiled, suddenly lifting me onto his shoulder. "Sawyer, what are you doing?" Ignoring my panic, he carried me to the basement training room via the elevator. After registration, he let me operate Shen Bird with his guidance. A few days later, when I wanted to pilot again, he calmly refused. I was disappointed. I had thought Sawyer was like other alphas, just deceiving me before registration. The moment the doors opened, he set me down. Next to the tall Shen Bird stood a sleek silver mech. Tools, paint equipment, and scattered parts lay on the ground. Slightly shorter than Shen Bird, it looked even more mysterious, its curves smooth, with engraved characters etched on its body. I rushed to it, trembling fingers tracing the engraved words. Turning to Sawyer, disbelief in my eyes. "My name?" He pressed me against the mech, softly asking, "Do you like it?" His gaze was as gentle as a clear lake, reflecting my tear-stained face. Tears slid down, brushed away by his fingertips. "Won't you show me your mech, Your Highness Wesley?" 21. In the year 3066 of the Federation calendar, the Zerg launched a massive invasion. Countless Zerg threw themselves at the defenses, corpses piling up as fire erupted across the battlefield. General Sawyer immediately received orders to the front line. Before boarding the aircraft, in front of all the soldiers, he removed his military cap, shielding our faces. He pressed a quick kiss to my lips and smiled. "Wait for me, Wesley." The plane took off with Sawyer on board. Back at the villa, I reached out to touch the mech I had named Mithril. Unease churned inside me. A month later, Sawyer's aide informed me that Sawyer had led a suicide squad deep into Zerg territory to assassinate the Queen. My mind went numb, as if separated from my body. My voice trembled. "Teach, then what happened?" The aide's eyes were red, voice choked. The mission succeeded. The Queen was eliminated, and the Zerg retreated. I jumped up, grabbing his uniform. "I'm asking about Sawyer." "What about Sawyer?" "General Sawyer. General Sawyer has not been found. His whereabouts are unknown." My head rang. I collapsed onto the sofa, my mind blank. Suddenly, I thought of Mithril. Ignoring all warnings, I loaded supplies and rescue equipment, climbed into Mithril, and sat in the cockpit. Wiping my tears, I remembered every lesson Sawyer had ever taught me. Mithril, activate. For the first time, without Sawyer by my side, I piloted the mech toward the front line. 22. On the first day at the front, soldiers spotted me. Upon learning I was Sawyer's partner, they unanimously tried to stop me from searching. The gist of it was, "You're an Omega. Don't make things worse now. There are enough alphas to handle this." Piloting a mech. Scared, huh? General Sawyer really spoils you, how could he let an Omega do something so dangerous? And those leftover Zerg, too dangerous. Omega should stay in the facility. If something happens to Sawyer, you can remarry later. A dozen alphas crowded around me, advising me. Anger surged, but I recalled Sawyer's lessons on attack maneuvers. I stepped back, raised the energy blade, blocked, dodged, and struck at the mech joints. In just seconds, I dismantled those alphas' mechs, leaving them in smoldering ruins on the ground. I piloted the mech to search the area where the Zerg Queen had fallen. The first day yielded nothing. No signs of life anywhere. On the second day, the nearby search teams began to withdraw for unknown reasons. On the third day, grim and dirty, I found a piece of flame-red mech debris at the epicenter of the explosions. After 3 sleepless days of searching, I slumped to the ground. The ground beneath me began to tremble. I dodged aside just as a massive sandworm lunged. While fleeing toward the mech, its tail swept me several meters away. Rolling over, I saw the worm rear up, jaws wide open, ready to swallow me, then a red light descended from above, a laser blade splitting the sandworm in half. I should have returned to the mech immediately, but at the sight of that red light, my strength failed me. Sitting on the dirty ground, I couldn't hold back my emotions. Wah! The cockpit of Shenbird opened. The tall man jumped down, inspecting me thoroughly. Seeing I was unharmed, he scooped me into his arms. Wesley, why did you come here? His hands shook with tension, his voice a low, furious roar in my ear. I trembled, pushing him away, slapping him hard. I thought you were dead. Sawyer's eyes were red, yet he pulled me back, holding me so tightly it felt like he was molding me into his bones. It's okay, it's okay. Don't be afraid. I'm here with you. I collapsed against him, crying uncontrollably. 23. Eyes red, I returned to the Federation with Sawyer. Several officers responsible for search operations turned pale. Sawyer adjusted his cap, his gaze sharp. I've submitted all data to the military tribunal. I hope to work with you all in the future. Back at the Federation, I sulked for days, refusing to speak to Sawyer. No matter how he coaxed me, my chest remained heavy. Then, the Sawyer who had made the greatest contributions was elected Marshal of the Federation before 30, through internal voting. On the day of the promotion, I waited backstage, suddenly blindfolded and taken somewhere unknown. Panicked, I struggled, but was held firmly. This story is exclusively produced by the YouTube channel, Omegaverse Tales Studio. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. My clothes were changed, and I was pushed into the hall. I barely heard someone announce, to award General Sawyer the rank of Marshal. Once the ceremony finished, someone shoved me forward. My blindfold was ripped off. My heart raced as if it was the day I first saw Sawyer. Sawyer, standing on stage, extended his hand toward me with unwavering warmth. Wesley, this is your wedding. Amid the crowd, I placed my hand in his. He kissed me lightly. Wesley, I love you. Tears blurred my vision. Choked, I pulled him close, kissing him back. I love you too.